Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Step Up to Rise Up. Welcome today. Let me know in the comments where you're coming in from. It's always good to know who I'm reaching. So if you're catching me live, just hit hashtag Team Live in the comments and let me know where you're coming from. And if you're catching this later at your convenience, just put hashtag Team Replay and I'll circle back and say hello to everyone after the live has ended. So welcome everyone. I want to welcome you to our weekly show that is designed for you because we're all called higher in this world. And I think there's no better time than now to really, really listen to where God is nudging you right now. The world is in a state of divisiveness and chaos and information coming at us from all over the place. And so the world really does need you more than ever. And that's why it's so important to identify your gifts and know what you want in this life. Especially know your value. I think that's really important. So in case we're meeting for the first time, I'm Linda Nelson, and I am a mindset belief coach and creator of the Believe in You Academy. And I guide heart-centered female soulpreneurs like you to grow your business and really your life by focusing on your most important asset. And that, my friends, is you. I provide strategies to help you turn your passions into purpose and profit so that you can live a life of intention and impact because you deserve it. So in the last several weeks, we've talked a little bit about confidence. And last week in particular, we talked about how to cultivate or nurture more in your life of courage, clarity, and confidence, because they are all kind of tied together, and you want to have those really show up in your life. And so last week we talked about ways that you can make that happen. If you didn't get a chance to see that, please go back and take a look at that. So we have been talking about the whole scenario of confidence, and many of you know that I recently took part in writing a book, the book that is behind me with the butterfly on the cover, which is very fitting because the butterfly symbolizes transformation. And indeed, I was transformed through my journey of struggle through confidence, of struggling with my confidence and my worth and my value, all of those things. And so, in effect, I told my story of that journey that I took to get on the other side. And those things that happen to us as a child when we're clean slates can really impact us into our adult life. And so in other episodes, we've talked about this too. And I work with my clients a lot on really identifying those limiting beliefs that are resistance points or points that are blocking us from our very best self. And so we can talk another time about limiting beliefs. They really do show up in a big way. But today I was pondering about this, my book and some of the comments that I've received from many of you and some of my clients, some of the things that they've said about their own struggle with confidence from time to time. And in learning with them and reflecting on my own thoughts, I decided today to focus on the one thing, just the one thing that can really change the trajectory of your life. And this one thing is mentioned time and time again as I work with people in the Believe in You Academy, that what they struggle with is confidence and belief in themselves, certainly. But the reason they struggle, and when you get down deeper into the reasons why, you find it all comes back to one thing, and that one thing is clarity. And I think for me too, when I started connecting the dots, clarity was the thing that gave me the confidence. Clarity about who I was helped me move forward faster in that journey than if I stayed stuck in just hitting the resistance on the wall all the time. So I had to do some inner work, which isn't always easy. And that's really what I do in the Believe in You Academy. I guide women on that same journey that I took by asking them questions, by having them dig deeper, by taking a look at those points of resistance, and then in effect writing their story so that they can make sense of some of what happened in the past and move forward with courage, that other C word, and get more courage in their life and thereby more confidence in their life. But it starts with clarity. It certainly did for me, and I believe that it will begin with you too. So in my life, and especially as I was writing that chapter on my story, it really did, flares went off, that clarity was the problem. And so I am just so passionate about helping you develop your confidence by believing in you until you're ready to, and help you with clarity so you find out what you're all about and what you offer to the world, because as I said, it's so, so important. So today I'd like to make 4 points, or talk about 4 things as it relates to clarity and some of the benefits of being clear and how that can really impact your life in a positive way. So number 1, when you are clear about what is most important and what isn't, you are more likely to keep the goal in mind when you're making your decisions. And so you have a compass, if you will, or an anchor that is always linked to what you really want. And then you're free to express your confidence in making those decisions. And confidence comes from making decisions and taking action, as we've talked about. Being clear about what's important and what isn't will help you speak up when it matters, or when you see problems, when you see things that need change. And then you will learn, when you're clear, you will learn to ask critical questions to clarify perspectives, facts, and options. You'll be able to see things more clearly as you learn to ask those tough questions of yourself. Number 2, when you are clear about exactly what you want to accomplish, you are more confident in your actions and determined to succeed. You're more able to adjust your methods as needed without waffling because of that decisiveness factor, because you're clear. Number 3, when you are clear about your strengths and weaknesses, you are more likely to acknowledge your own humanity and forgive yourself for your weaknesses. We all have pluses and minuses. We all have assets and liabilities. When you're clear about your strengths and weaknesses, you can just know that you're a human being who is also a human becoming. And so it's okay. We're all born with gifts, and we don't have all of them. We just have the ones that we were given. It will allow you, when you know your strengths and weaknesses, that's going to allow you or enable you to be able to ask for help when you need it. Because after all, that's why we're on this planet, right? To help one another. And so when you're clear about what you can do, then you know when you need to ask for help too. And when you ask for that help, and you know this is true when you've given someone help, it allows you to be a blessing, and it allows others to give also. And we need to learn to be both good givers and good receivers. And most of us are better at giving than we are at receiving. So that's another reason why knowing your strengths, it will help you know when to ask for help. And then you'll begin to trust that people will respect you for your strengths and your contributions, despite your weaknesses. I have certainly seen that here. There's so many times when I goof up with my clients. There's so many times where I don't do things as perfectly as I would like. But you know what? I have learned to trust that despite that, they love me anyway. They love me through all that stuff. And we all need that kind of support. I think I'm on point number 4. When you are clear about the difference between self-worth and self-confidence, you are more likely to recognize that confidence is situational and depends on your knowledge and familiarity with the matters at hand. It's situational. You can't know everything. No one has the knowledge and the experience to be truly confident in every situation that comes our way. We will bump into points where we're not confident, but that doesn't have anything to do with our self-worth and our value. We are still valuable, even if we don't know everything, and it's okay. Someone else in the world has what you lack, and they need to use their gifts as well, right? So that's how God designed it. Pretty smart, I'd say. So you have to understand that because it's situational, it isn't a reflection of your self-worth. And I wrapped up a lot of things, as some of you have read my story know, into my performance. Like if I just performed good enough that I would be accepted and loved for that. No, I needed to find out that I was accepted and loved just for who I am. And that was a big lesson for me, and it might be for you too. So you are no less of a person because of the accomplishments of others. Again, they have been gifted as well in areas different than you, and they are to touch the world differently than you, and that's okay. So it's okay to admit your lack of familiarity and knowledge and defer to others without any kind of loss of your own personal worth, your own personal self. So in summary, clarity creates confidence. The confidence to pause and find your way. The confidence to say no and stick to your guns. The confidence to speak up, to prevent problems or defend against poor decisions and harmful actions. The confidence to stand alone. The confidence to be proactive when silence might seem safer. The confidence to take prudent risks and embrace new challenges. So, my challenge to you today is I want to encourage you to create clarity in your life, and your self-confidence will soar as a result. So thank you so much for joining me today. I so love passing on learnings that I've had in this life of mine and have been blessed to learn from so many people. And I, as you know, am just passionate about helping you live your best life, a life that gets you excited to get out of bed and start the day and set Satan on the path of going, oops, she's up. So that's what I want for each of you. Have a wonderful week, you guys, and think about your gifts, your graces, and what you want out of this life. Get some clarity in your life. And of course, I'm going to encourage you always to write your thoughts down, get them out of your head and onto paper, and really realize the power that is there, that is deep within you. So have a wonderful day, everyone. And I'll be back again next week, same time, noon Central on Monday for another Step Up to Rise Up show. Thanks for tuning in.